Hello, my name is Robert Carroll, and I'll be the host for your meeting today. And today we're going to go over the Blackboard and Zoom integration and how to use Zoom from Blackboard. I want to welcome you all today, and just to get started, if you look at your control panel for Zoom, you should have a participants button on that control panel. And if you click on that participants button, a window should open at which at the bottom there is a yes and a no button. If you heard the message at the beginning that said that the meeting was being recorded, go ahead and click on that yes button. And I see I do have something here in chat. We see a hello, that's excellent. And I'm seeing some yeses. And just to reiterate, for everybody, if you can, go ahead and click on that participants button in your control panel for Zoom, at which a window will open up with all the participants, and there's a yes and a no on the bottom. And feel free to click yes if you heard that message that the screen was being recorded when you signed in. All right. And the reason I wanted to cover that first is just to show you that when using Zoom in your course site, if a session is being recorded, all users will be prompted that the sessions are recorded. So there's transparency as far as recordings are concerned. And just to let you know that, is it supposed to be muted? I heard other means say, but no sound here. Sorry, sound is restored. Excellent. Okay. So, throughout this meeting, I'm probably going to be asking you a couple questions to indicate yes or no as to if you see or understand what I'm going over. And I'm just kind of using that as an example because I want to be able to gauge the way the meeting is going. But also, I want to use that as a tool to display to you how you can go ahead and manage your meetings. So you can see here on my screen my participants window, and I've shared it with you. And when the participants indicate yes or no, I can see a count of that, and that I also have a button in the bottom right as the host to clear all. So when you do host your individual sessions from your Blackboard course sites, you'll have that functionality as well, and you'll be able to engage with your participants and your students. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to adding a Zoom link to our Blackboard course site. And so the first thing that we need to do is come to our Blackboard course site. And we can see here on the left side course menu, in the top left-hand corner, there's a circle with a plus. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on a red dot on my mouse to help it be seen and help you guys follow along. So if you can see that red dot on my mouse, go ahead and give me a yes in your participants panel. That is excellent. All right, so let's continue. So we're here in our Blackboard course site. We look in the top left of our left side course menu, and we hover over the little icon with a circle and a plus, and then we click on Content Area. So this is just a simple content area we're creating. We're going to go ahead and type in Zoom Meetings. And then probably the most important thing you need to do here is just click to make it available to users. That means that students are going to be able to access this link. And this is the means by which you and your students are going to access your Zoom interface for Blackboard. So now that we've given it a name and we've made it available to users, we can go ahead and click on the Submit button. And we can see it appears here in the bottom left of our left side course menu. And so now that we've created it, let's go ahead and click it. And we can see it's just an empty content area. So the next thing we need to do is hover over Tools and then go to More Tools down at the bottom and then click on Zoom LTI Blackboard. And once again, just to reiterate, that's hovering over Tools, going to More Tools, and then clicking on Zoom LTI Blackboard. So now this Create Link page comes up. Everything here is exactly how it should be. So we could just click Submit in the bottom right, the blue Submit button. And we could see success. Our link for Zoom LTI Blackboard has been created. And this is the physical link. And I'll go over a little bit later exactly why I did it this way. and how it's going to interact with students on mobile devices, which is pretty important. So now that we've went to the top left of our course menu, created a content area, and we saw the content area get added to the bottom left of the screen, and then we went ahead and created the Zoom LTI link inside of the content area. Let's go ahead and click it to see what happens. We can see that it launches the Zoom interface for our course site. And just to kind of clarify, every single course site has its own Zoom interface for the course. And so just by show of hands with a yes or no, or a thumbs up or a thumbs down, how does everybody feel about what we just went over? And for those of you who just joined us, if you click on the participants button, a participants window will open and you should be able to indicate yes or no, or click on the more button to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All right, I'm seeing some yeses. Let's just see. Anybody else? Okay. So keep in mind, oh, I see some questions here in the chat. Let's go take a look. So the red dot is a feature called annotation that you get when you're sharing your screen. In order to see the annotation feature, you do have to be sharing your screen. So right now, me as the host, I exclusively have it, so I can annotate. But if, we'll go over a little bit later how you guys can share your screens, and we'll do an example walkthrough, and then we'll be able to address that issue about how I got the red dot on the screen. So moving onward, we're here. We went ahead, we created our link and we clicked it, and it brought us to our Zoom interface for the course site. And we can see in the top right, we have the big blue schedule a new meeting button. And then we can look at our navigation panel and we have upcoming meetings, of which we have 2. And if we hover over them, they turn blue. We have our previous meeting tabs, which is where meetings that have passed go. We have our personal meeting room, which is something you can use for one-on-one appointments or individuals. And then we also have our cloud recordings tab. And say you did want to have a personal meeting or one-on-one, you could just simply send this link right here to whoever you want to join. Or you can click on this blue copy the invitation and then click the big blue copy meeting invitation button. And that'll go ahead and copy it to your clipboard. And we see that in that green affirmation message at the top. So anyway, coming back to upcoming meetings, we can see for the meetings that we do have, we have a start and we have a delete button. But before we explain what that exactly means and how they work, let's go ahead and schedule a new meeting. So we can see here, this brings us to our schedule a meeting page when we clicked on that big blue button in the top right. And I want you to notice the breadcrumb at the top. If I want to go back to where I was before, I could just simply click on this course meetings link and it will take me back to this page. But let's go ahead and click on that schedule a new meeting button again. And let's give our meeting a topic. And then if you'd like, you could also enter a description for your meeting. And then we can come down to where it says when on the left-hand side, and we can click on the date. And for example, I'm just going to pretend that we're scheduling for today's meeting at 2 p.m. And we could say the duration is an hour and the time zone is US Eastern Time. Now I'm going to spend just a minute on recurring meeting and what that means and how it functions. So if I click on this recurring meeting checkbox, you'll notice that I get a bevy of options. And essentially right now the recurrence is set to daily and it repeats every 1 day and the end date is March 20th. So it summarizes that here at the top. It says every day until March 20th, 2020 for a total of 5 occurrences. If you're running a class that maybe happens on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday, you could simply switch that to weekly. And then you can choose Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then you can choose your end date. So now this tells us that this meeting is going to happen every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until April 26th for a total of 18 occurrences. And for example's sake, we're just going to kind of leave that exactly how it is now. Moving onward, we have the registration option. I recommend you leave this off and do not check this box. It could be an impediment to people joining a session if they have to pre-register for it. And if you're worried about attendance, you could always take attendance inside of a meeting. You saw my participants panel a little bit earlier, and I was able to see everybody who was in the meeting. And then there's also, you can enable a chat log as well. So you're always going to have a good record of who was in your meetings. Now that being said, let's move on to video. And you can see that I have host and participant, and I have it set to off for both of those. And what that means is when somebody joins your meeting, their video is going to be off. And you never know what situation somebody's going to be in or if it's an appropriate situation. So I do recommend that, but it's obviously at your discretion, and feel free to turn it on if you so like. We move on to audio, and we can see that we have options for telephone and computer audio, or both. I like to give people options when they join a meeting. Maybe it's a mobile device, maybe it's a computer. So I like to give them both options. Moving onward from that, we can see that we have our meeting options. To require a meeting password, we could leave that set to on. Enable join before host. I like to leave that set to on because, like all of you did today, if you join and I'm not here, you still want to join your meeting, right? And then we have mute participants upon entry. Once again, I like to enable this feature. Perhaps you're in the middle of some sort of lecture, or you're teaching your students and somebody comes in, they have their microphone on and it's disruptive to the environment. Considering this online etiquette is completely new, I think it's personally a good thing to mute participants upon entry. Now let's go to the things you don't want to do. And my personal recommendation, you do not want to do. I personally would not recommend enabling the waiting room. If you did enable the waiting room, what that means is that you are going to have to go through every single person on your participants panel and physically approve them. So just to give you a quick example, I'm going to do a screenshot here. I'm going to reshare my participants panel with you guys as a photo. And you would have to physically go through every single one of these people to approve them and add them into the meeting. And that would be a little bit cumbersome. So let's go ahead and just leave that unchecked. This one here at the bottom, record the meeting automatically. That one's pretty self-evident. If you want to record the meeting automatically, when you as the host join, the meeting will start recording. And alternative host is also a pretty important feature. If you're looking to add someone from in the university as an alternative host, make sure you use the Blackboard email on file, or you use the @miami.edu email in Outlook. So when you type in a person's name on Outlook, you should get an @miami.edu email. Make sure you put that email in right here. So now that we've gone over how to schedule a meeting, let's just go ahead and click this big blue save button. And by show of hands, how does everybody feel about this page? Are we understanding what's on it and what it means? I did see that, I believe Richard had a question. We do have a couple questions here. Richard, go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to pose your question. We'll take the questions one by one. No? So if anybody does have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question if you'd like.
Yes, I have a question. This is Gary. We had a test last week with Ernie for the IT group, and I clicked on the link at 2 a.m. just as a test to see if I can log on, and it started recording automatically. So is it when the host logs on or when anyone logs into the meeting?
And you were not a host in this particular meeting. You were a participant, correct?
I didn't set myself as host. So unless he made everyone a host, yeah, I'm not sure about that.
This tool is obviously new to me as well. If that's what happened, it does seem as if that's the case. If participants are logging in, it seems as if anybody's in the room, it will start recording. But then when the room's empty, it'll stop recording. Now that being said, me as the host, whenever I log in, and if I set it to record automatically, I would always get that message. So that's actually a really good oversight you pointed out. Thank you for sharing that. And do we have any more questions, or does everybody feel good to continue? Feel free to indicate on your participants panel. All right, excellent. So moving on, we click the save button to save our meeting. And we just see here another manage page for that exact meeting. And it tells us everything we already went over. It's just a summary, right? It tells us our topic, and if we'd like, we can add a link to our calendars here. It also gives us the ability to invite in attendees, and we can copy this link here and send it to whoever we'd like. Or we can click on this copy the invitation button, and then we can click this big blue copy meeting invitation and send it as an email to whoever we would like. We could just see a summary of our settings here, and then we see options to delete, edit, and start this meeting. But I don't want to do any of those things right now. Right now, I just kind of want to go back to where I started. So I'm going to go scroll to the top and go to the top left and click on course meetings. And I can see, give our meeting a topic, and I can see all my recurrences for that particular meeting. But one thing I do want you to notice is only one of those, the one that's happening right now, has a start button. So what that means is that these are all actually the same meeting room, but Zoom is laying it out for us as individual instances of that one meeting, right? And so as soon as today's meeting is over, it will go ahead and move to the previous meetings tab. And then the next meeting in the recurrence, this one for Wednesday, March 18th, that one will have a start button on it. But say I wanted to edit all these. So say like I take a look at this page, I see that there's 2 simple meetings here, and then I look at this one and I say, well, that's a lot of meetings, and that kind of clutters my screen. I don't like it so much. Maybe I just want to leave a room open perpetually. So let's go ahead and edit our meeting by clicking on this blue meeting title. It's going to bring us back to this manage page, and then we can scroll down to the bottom and click on edit this meeting. At this point, I can go up to the recurring meeting tab again. I can look at my recurrence and then simply choose no fixed time. So I can see right now in this area, there used to be a lot of really complex date stuff in there. Now it's just really simple. This pretty much means that my meeting is open perpetually now. So now that I made that change, I'm going to scroll down and just click save. And then I'm going to go back to my course meetings. And now it looks really simple. I just have my one meeting here, and I can click to start it whenever I want. Now that being said, students can come and join these open-ended meetings whenever they'd like as well. So just to give a quick recap of everything we've covered, and then we'll go ahead and just cover some other things real fast. We went to our course site in Blackboard. We went to the top left of our course site in Blackboard and created a content area. We gave it a name. We made it available to users, and then we clicked the submit button. Once we created it, it appeared at the bottom left, and we can click on it. And then we can go to Tools, go to More Tools, and create a Zoom LTI Blackboard link. We noted that this is fine exactly how it is, so we clicked Submit. And we saw that our Zoom LTI link was created here. And when we clicked it, it went ahead and opened our course room for Zoom, which was linked exclusively to our course here. And then we noticed we could schedule a meeting. We could see our upcoming meetings, our previous meetings, our personal meeting room, and our cloud recordings. Now, let me see if we have something going on in chat here. How do you show your PowerPoint and speak at the same time, or show your video? So that's exactly what I wanted to cover in this next section. And I'm very glad you asked that. Thank you, Teresa. So right now I'm going to stop sharing my video. And what I want everybody to do is in their meeting control panel for Zoom, I want them to click on that green button that says share screen. And when you do that, I want you to notice that you're going to have a window pop up, and it's going to say like desktop 1, desktop 2, whiteboard. It's going to say iPhone. And then after that, it's going to be a list of all the applications that you have open. Now, if you can see that in your participants panel, if you can see that share screen I'm talking about in your participants panel, go ahead and just click yes or no. All right, that is excellent, excellent, excellent. And I'll just give everybody a minute just to catch up and click on that share screen button and see that they have the ability to share either their desktop, they can have a whiteboard they can draw on, or you can share an individual application. So some of you may be familiar with other things in the past that you upload a PDF into it. Oh, and somebody just took over and shared their screen right now. So we do have a participant right now sharing their screen, which is completely fine. They clicked that blue share button in the bottom right, and that's why that happened. If me as the host, if I see that happen and I want to share my screen, I can always take that back. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and take it back and click share, and then I'm sharing my screen again. And also, I'm going to take a screenshot of what I see as a host so that everybody else can see it. And this is a good shot because then everybody can see everything that I can see. Just bear with me for one moment. I'm going to go ahead and open up that. So let's make sure we're sharing the correct screen here. All right, excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, so I'm going to move back to this screen here and reshare. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab my Finder. And I just shared something to my desktop. And I'm going to parse it by date. Let's take a look. And so this is the picture I was trying to get at for you guys. I apologize for that. If I make it full screen, you can see that you have my participants panel where I can manage the participants and the responses. You can also see that I have my control panel right here. And I have the ability to mute, start video, manage my participants. I could make a poll if I wanted to. I can do a new screen share. I can pause my sharing. I can annotate, which is how I got that red dot. So I clicked on annotate and then I went to Spotlight. In fact, let me turn that back on. And I went to Spotlight. And then I can also give any of you remote control of my screen if I really want to. We could also see here, and it's kind of hidden behind this expanded panel here, there's a more button, and if you click it, you can chat, invite, pause recordings and stop recordings. You can put closed captioning on. You can create breakout rooms, which we're not going to go over today. We can disable annotation for others, hide our meeting controls, and share a computer sound. So if you're a music professor, if you have a video that you're showing on Zoom, you can share your computer sound to everybody. And it actually works really well. I've tested it. And then in addition to that, you can go ahead and end your meeting as well if you want, which will also end the recording. And so just by show of hands, how does everybody feel about the functionality we just explored with sharing your screen and then also the controls that you'll have as a host? Oh, I noticed we got some questions. Feel free to unmute and ask away.
So can we go back to where you were actually taking us to the different, like the whiteboard and what looked like maybe PowerPoint, and then all of a sudden we lost it. So I'm trying to understand this whole concept of uploading the PowerPoint onto Zoom so I can give a lecture.
Yeah, absolutely. What I did is I stopped sharing my screen, and then I encouraged everybody to click on their share screen button. And what we saw was something a lot like what you see now on the screen. And the way Zoom works is you're not actually physically uploading documents or PowerPoints to share them. You're essentially opening them on your computer, and then Zoom gives you the option to share your screen, which we see here, like I have desktop 1, desktop 2. But then you can also choose an individual application. So if I had, for example, if I had PowerPoint open and there was a window here, I could select PowerPoint, and then I can click on this blue share button, right? And then, like, say I'm sharing a video on my computer, I can also choose to share my computer sound while I'm sharing it. And then it's probably a good idea to always optimize screen share for video clip as well. Does that answer your question, sir?
Actually, a little bit. So that basically, what it means to me is that you're not going back to Blackboard to pull in PowerPoint. You have the PowerPoint actually on your desktop.
That is 100% correct. I mean, if you physically wanted to, you could go back to Blackboard and open your content from there, but it's by no means a necessary way of doing things to share something on Zoom.
Okay, that simplifies a lot.
Excellent. Well, I'm happy I can simplify that for you. Do we have another question?
I have a question. What if you have a student presenting? How do they share their PowerPoint with the group?
So if a student was presenting, essentially what you could do, thank you for muting. Essentially what you could do is you could stop sharing, and just like I stopped sharing before, you no longer see my screen. And then that actually gives the ability for other people to start sharing. So Teresa, actually, if you want to share your screen, you can feel free. You are in the role of participant right now. So if you wanted to click that green share screen button, you could click it and select anything on your screen to share with the group if you wanted to. Also, you don't have to if you don't want to. I was just saying as an example. But that's how students would be able to share. And then coming back to that point to reiterate, me as the host, I can always take back control and share my screen. So you do have control over that. And I'm going to show you another thing as well.
Rob, can you show how you take back your screen?
Oh, I just go ahead and simply click on my share button and then share a screen. And it prompts me and lets me know, hey, somebody else is sharing right now. Do you want to take back control? And then I'll say yes.
How do you stop someone from fighting for this sharing the screens?
If you're the host, you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So any of you can actually physically try to share right now. I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to.
Yeah, I got a pop-up saying I can't share the screen while the other person's sharing.
Exactly. So it does give priority to the host, which is good. And that brings me to another point. If you guys are looking at the screen right now. So you can see here, I just clicked on somebody in the menu just to give an example. And as the host, I have the ability to make them a host, which will take away my role. But you may just want to make people co-host. And so I can allow people to record. I can rename them. I can put them on hold. And I can also kick people out of my meetings if I want to. So you have the full control to kind of do whatever you need to do with your meeting to manage it and make sure it goes according to however you want it to go. And real quick, and since we were just talking about screen sharing, I want to show you something really cool. Or at least I think it's a really cool feature, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my iPhone screen now. And I do see we have a question in chat. Yes, I can definitely show how to play a YouTube video. But right before I do that, I'm just going to show you the iPhone real fast. So I'm going to share my iPhone screen. And right now, if you can see my iPhone in that participants panel, go ahead and indicate yes or no. All right, excellent. And it's super cool too, because if I turn it sideways, it's responsive. And so it should get larger and move to a landscape mode for you guys. But then I could also turn it and then it'll go back to portrait mode. And I think that's pretty awesome functionality. I really like that. And if your students are trying to access Zoom from their phones, what they could do is just click on their Blackboard application. And then Blackboard's going to go ahead and open. They can go to the top left and click on their menu. And then they can go to their courses. If they scroll down to the course that they're enrolled in, so in this case, it's ETC 101 Spring 2020, I'm going to click on it. And then I can go to course content. And then I see that Zoom meeting link that I created all the way down here at the bottom. If I click on that, I could see my LTI Blackboard links, and I can click on those too. So now that I clicked on it, we could see that same exact course interface that we saw for Zoom. And the students can actually physically join their Zoom meetings from here as well from their courses. So if I click that join button, I could just simply tap on this link and it copies the link. And then if I paste it in a browser, it'll go ahead and launch Zoom on my phone. But since I have a meeting in process right now, if I do that, it's going to kick me out of the meeting, and that would be kind of embarrassing. So I'm totally not going to do that. But in any case, that's how your students can now access these Zoom meetings from their phone and also from their Blackboard app, right? So that actually gives a central place for students to be able to access these Zoom meeting links. And if students have Androids, are they able to connect? I may have missed that option on the other page. Yes, there should be a Zoom app and also a Blackboard app for Android. And there's a Blackboard app and a Zoom app for, obviously, for iPhone as well. So what I'm going to do now is go back to sharing my screen. And I wanted to address Alan's question about how to play YouTube videos.
Rob, can I ask you, this is Alan. I have in my course documents in Blackboard for my course, that's where I have located all of uploaded YouTube videos. So I guess my question is how to get to course documents in Blackboard in order to show those videos that are already there.
So if you're sharing your screen and you just want to refer back to your course site, so let's imagine you did go to course documents and you did have a YouTube video here. And I'm just going to go ahead and post a YouTube video just for example. And we'll just type Bach, right? Let's just imagine it was a music course. Ooh, it looks like we need to fix our YouTube shareability. All right, but all right, just for sake of example, let's go to YouTube here. Right, we'll go ahead and type in Bach and say we were doing a violin concerto. Let me make sure that I am sharing my sound. And then by show of hands in the participants panel, how many of you can hear Bach playing on your screen right now? All right, I'm seeing some very good positive indicators. But to answer your question, Alan, if you had this YouTube video posted in your course site, let's just see if it actually works. All right, so I need to fix that. But say that YouTube video was embedded here. In fact, we can embed it this way. You could play that YouTube video from there, and then you would just want to make sure to go to that more option and make sure that you're sharing the sound so that other people could do it. That'd be mashups, YouTube video. All right, so that's definitely something I need to fix. Okay. All right, at this point, I want to go ahead and open up the floor while we have a little bit of time left. If you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand using that participants panel, and then I'll take the questions one by one. All right, Alan, go ahead.
And if we, as you are the host right now, what do you do to enable us to see you talking to us?
So when I see you talking, Zoom automatically just gives a little name in the corner saying who is talking. But in the participants panel, I can physically see if the mic is bouncing up and down. So in that mic icon, I can see who's talking.
No, I guess my question is with Zoom right now, can you enable, if I'm here talking to my students and I want them to see a video of me talking, how do I do that?
Oh, it would be the same way as running a YouTube video. You would just literally open the video. In your share panel, you would select it.
No, not a video, live, so that I'm looking at, so that my students can see me lecturing to them live.
Oh, my apologies. So you'd simply just click the share video link in your panel. So if you look at your control panel for Zoom, every single one of you should have a share video option or start video option. It should be on the left-hand side of the menu next to mute. Excellent. And Anna, go ahead.
Yes, hi. I was trying Zoom last night and I was informed that 40 people is the limit on the number of participants. The drop-down menu gave actually a limit of 35. Our classes are somewhat bigger. Would this problem be eliminated if I use Zoom using Blackboard?
I'm not aware of any limitations on Zoom with Blackboard, but I could do a quick Google search right now because that is a pretty important point, and we definitely want you to be able to have that functionality.
I think if you get the Zoom through the university, it has a 300 capacity. If you do a private Zoom, it's a problem.
I see. So
make sure you use the IT, the
assistant.
Zoom.
So when I use Blackboard, it's automatically through the university, so I will not have a limit.
That's right.
Or 300.
Well, 300.
People.
I think
Yeah.
it's 300. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that input.
Sure.
All right, and next question.
Oh, I had a question. So when the students are logging into the meeting, the easiest way maybe is for them to go to course content and then just click the link.
Yeah, they could click on that link, you know, or if you really wanted to go back here and go to your personal meeting, you could also just send them this link. And then probably the last thing I want to cover, and this is a pretty important point that isn't necessarily about Zoom, but it's about just using Blackboard as a repository for communication. And my personal recommendation, and I've always said this, is to go to the announcements page.
Mm-hmm.
And here, let me turn on annotation just so I can have that little red dot back. I like that red dot. And in the announcements page, if you create an announcement, you could say, like, we have a meeting today, right? And then you could put your date, and then you could put a link to the meeting there. And that would be the link that you get from the manage page that I showed you guys, and it would be this one right here. You could also literally just copy the invitation. Let me scroll down to do that. And then if you really wanted to, you could paste it in here. And that kind of does a lot of the work of just verifying, like, everything is communicated, everything is freely available. Or you could just say something like, click on the,
And you would only need to give that announcement one time because it would be the same link for the recurring meeting, correct?
That's correct. But in case, you know, students, you know, it's kind of on the nose, it says Zoom meetings on it, but in case they happen to not get it, you could always say, hey, click on the Zoom meeting link on the left side of the course menu. And then literally, if you wanted to, you could create like a course link using the char and link builder. And then you could select that Zoom link from there. So that would bring up a window kind of like this. And we could just choose that Zoom LTI Blackboard, right?
Okay.
Right. And then they could do it that way as well. And then my favorite thing about this announcements option is you could send it as an email, So if you use normal email in Blackboard, there's no copy stored anywhere, right? If it's only in people's inboxes or not in their inboxes if they can't find it. But if you use the send announcements feature to send the announcement as an email, whenever they come back to the course site, there is a repository of all your communications, and that could be helpful, you know, in kind of making sure stuff doesn't get lost. I see that Gary asked, did that answer your question? Before I move on.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Okay, so Gary asked, the audio level for the music was much louder than your voice. Can that be set in advance? Yes, you can toggle the volume on YouTube here or whatever program you're using and just make sure that you can have a good level, right? Somebody asked about whiteboard functionality. Let's go ahead and share the whiteboard. So if you did share the whiteboard, this is what you'd see, and you'd have the ability to draw on it. You could do little stamps and stuff like that. You can add a text box. Let me move this out of the way, so that's getting in the way. So I made my mouse bigger to make things more easily seeable on the screen, but yeah, you could undo things, and the whiteboard is a little bit limited in its capacity, but it
Hey,
would
Robert,
work.
sorry, you might have to share your whiteboard screen. It's still stuck on the YouTube page.
That's interesting. Just selected. All right, can you guys see my whiteboard?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So I can draw on my whiteboard. I should be able to stamp and do check marks. I can write on it, write something. I can erase, you know, and then I can also undo as well. And that's kind of the whiteboard functionality. And then if I really want to, I also have a feature to save it as well. And I can select individual objects and kind of move them around as I see fit as well. I could also do the spotlight feature as well from here to kind of annotate. So I should have the red dot there, and then I can go ahead and clear my whiteboard. And I could just choose to clear viewers' drawings. Like, so say I gave access to one of you and one of you drew on there, I could just clear those drawings. Is that a touchscreen? No, I'm not using a touchscreen for the whiteboard. I'm just simply using my mouse to draw on it. However, you should be able to use the Zoom app to do this from your tablet. If anybody else has a question, feel free to unmute and pose your question.
Hi, can you recap one more time quickly just how students should get to it from their phone?
Yeah, absolutely. So if students are on their phone, and I'm going to go ahead and share my phone screen again. Just bear with me for a moment. Just get out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and share this screen. So assuming that you set up your Zoom meeting link as a content area and then created this link using tools, more tools, and then choosing the Zoom LTI Blackboard. Assuming that you did that, they're going to see this when they log into their course. I'm going to share my phone right now. They'll be able to get on their phones and then click on their Blackboard application. They'll be able to go to their courses. We can go to our example course here, in which case they can click on course content. And we could see that Zoom meetings link we created down at the bottom. And then they can click on Zoom LTI Blackboard. They could see the Zoom interface for this course site here. And if they want to join a meeting, they could simply click a join button. It'll give them a link to click. I could just tap on it with my finger and it copies it. And then when I put it in my browser, it'll automatically launch Zoom and they'll be able to join the meeting from their phone. I'm not going to do that part right now because it will kick me out of this meeting.
Thank you. Could they also just open the email link like they normally would on a computer through their phone and then just join that way, or do they have to navigate via the app?
No, I haven't tested that personally, but my assumption, and it's extremely likely that if you send them that link via email or via CoreSite, if they click on that link, it should open their web browser, which should automatically redirect to Zoom. Like you could see on my screen right now, it's just giving miami.zoom.us, et cetera, and then it's encrypting it. It's going to be the same link either way.
Awesome. Okay, last quick follow-up. You said as long as they have the Blackboard app, they're good. Do they also need a Zoom app specifically installed on the phone?
If they're going to be launching Zoom from their phone, that is correct.
Thank you.
All right, it is 2:50. I want to thank everybody for joining today. If you enjoyed the meeting, feel free to go to that participants panel and click on the More button and give a round of applause.